We're continuing on with our bending video here. Again, these are for review purposes only. We're not responsible for anything you use them for, but they are reviewing for our guys here. We are going to be doing a stub up video, meaning that I'm taking the pipe and I'm stubbing up into a box. So the important part is from the floor to the box or whatever I'm shooting up into, the other side of the bend. When we're dealing with back-to-back bends, which will be the next video, we're dealing with the in-between items. So from this wall to this wall is the most important measurement, okay? So kind of interesting, but for this one, because when we bend for a 90, we actually increase pipe. It's the only one that increases pipe, so we have to have a deduction from that. So if we want to do a 12-inch stub up, we need to decrease what it says on our bender. Remember, we have to use the bender and look at their deduction. This happens to be a Greenlee bender. Ideal benders are the same, 6 inches for 3/4. It does change based on the size of your pipe. Like one of my 1.25 is 11 inches. One of my 1.25 says 12 inches. So making sure you're following your bender's chart. So get a bender and own it. That's the one you're going to use for the rest of your life. I've got benders that are 20 years old. So just kind of keep that in mind here, that I'm going to do this. So I'm going to deduct from my 12-inch mark here, I'm going to deduct 6 inches and start my mark there. So I'm going to take my bender, or my piece of pipe here, I'm going to measure down 12 inches. Of course, I put it in the wrong pocket. I'm going to measure down 12 inches. I'm going to make a mark, I'm just going to make a dot so you guys can see. And then I'm going to deduct 6 inches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Which, as all of us know, is 6 inches. So we made it nice and easy for you guys just to deduct it in half, but counting down is usually how I do it if it's a harder mark or if I know that I'm trying to count down from there. I'm going to go ahead and ringtail it. Remember, do that with a pencil, not with a bender, or not with a marker here. And this is where I'm going to get into kind of a cool tip, which is having, like if I'm doing 3/4 pipe, I usually keep my 1/2-inch bender or just this bar that I've set here and marked off, that I can actually help me do the bend. And I'm going to show you how that works in a second. So we're going to take our bender, we're going to be using the bender with the arrow here. Going to tilt it over, bring it down to the bend mark here, we're going to slide it up. Remember, all these bends, these first 4 bends are all done on one piece of pipe. You should not ruin any more than one piece of pipe. And even then, it should be able to give you a couple, that one piece of pipe should give you some adjustment there. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to take and mark it. It's on the 1 inch or the arrow line here. We're going to put it on the ground. Now the most important thing is pressure here. So when we bend, we want to make sure we keep pressure either on our hand or our foot. So we're going to reach up here, we're going to pull back. And if I let up with my hands, I want to make sure I keep pressure here. Otherwise, I'll get kinky. So I want to keep going, keep going, keep going. I use Greenlee benders so I can look right over the top and I can watch for it to happen. Now, one thing I really like with that second bender, I can put it here and add that little tip and I can push. I'm pushing with my foot this direction and with my hand this direction, and now I can pull here. It makes my bends really easy to do. And now that I've got this piece of pipe on here, I can see that's a 90-degree bend. I can look down at my bender because it's a Greenlee bender. I can see my point is lined up directly, and if I let up, how does it look? I can take my pipe off, looks like a nice 90-degree bend to me. Take my bar here, pick it up. And we can verify by coming over here on the table. We can keep it nice and level here. What we're going to do is we're going to check and make sure, one, is it straight up and down? Looks pretty straight up and down to me. And it is on the dot 12 inches, or within reason here of me trying to show you guys. On my side, it's 12 inches. So we know that that will fit perfectly into the box, okay? Now your bender might be slightly different. You may see your bender bends and you need to go like 5.5 because it goes too high 5.5 or whatever that may be. you might have to adjust it and you might have to write that down, or just buy a Greenlee bender because they're really, really close all the time. I love them. So this is how you do a 90-degree stub up when from here to here is the most important measurement. And remember, I make my mark and I always bend back towards the mark. So if I wanted to bend and I was all the way down here on the end and I was trying to make this bend up, I wouldn't pull this way. I always pull, you know, on my bend here. So my mark is here. I'm pulling the short side or the far side of the mark. I don't know how to really say that. So if my mark's here, I'm always leaving what I measured as the pull, okay? So we don't want to come down here, and if we're all the way down here, we can't flip the bender the other direction and pull this way. That would be a back-to-back bend mark. For ours, we always pull from the measurement. So we're gonna put our bender here and pull up. I can't flip it and pull the other way. It only works one way. Hopefully it's helpful, guys. Have a great day, and we'll talk to you guys later.